We are live. That's right, SCW live once again. Going to be talking all things WWE, AEW, much more with your questions getting involved being the top topics here today. But of course, before we do, there's been a few updates to WWE Extreme Rules 2022. First off, we're talking about an inclusion to the fight pit. We've got a special guest referee in UFC, former UFC fighter Daniel Cormier, which I must admit, I'm not a big UFC follower, but certainly a household name, someone I do know, a previous champion in UFC, someone that has been, I believe, the second ever simultaneous champion in two separate weight divisions. Someone who also had a confrontation with Brock Lesnar at UFC 226. So he's got plenty of history involved with that. He's a former amateur wrestler as well. I believe he was a NJCAA champion previously as well. So he's no stranger to professional wrestling. There's been links of him with WWE in the past. To be fair, for me, I'm quite excited to see the prospect of him being in the fight pit as a special guest referee for Matt Riddle against Seth freaking Rollins, because it just adds some more legitimacy to the fight pit. The fight pit feels like that modern day Lions Den UFC style encounter. So I'm liking the fact that Cormier is involved with this. And like I say, it goes on the side of Matt Riddle as well, because Matt Riddle has been, in the octagon doing sort of that style of fighting MMA before. So he's no stranger to someone that would be like a Daniel Cormier. Seth Rollins feels like, for me, he's more the outsider once again. So does he find a way to pick up a victory? Will things be, called right down the middle? Because it's not a standard WWE official that's going to get knocked over and pushed over very, very easily. And the big question that comes out of this as well is Cormier going to stick around after Extreme Rules? Because let's not forget, the following show after that is Crown Jewel, somewhere where personalities may come in and do special attraction matches. We've seen in the past with the likes of a Tyson Fury against a Braun Strowman. We've got it this year, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. Would we get Daniel Cormier in the WWE ring? So that's a big question that we could see going forward. But for me, to give my full take on it, and I want people's chat thought about it as well, because I see we've got quite a few of us here. So thank you all for checking in already. Make sure to hit the like button. I think that this is a great decision. I'm pleased to see that this has been added here, because Cormier has been someone that's been, linked with WWE for a long time of doing something together with the company. I'm pleased to see it's finally happening. It feels like a big Triple H call. I think it's the right place to bring him in. Also, I just like the idea of Cormier versus perhaps a Seth Rollins as well, if we could get that down the line as an attraction match. Who knows? Maybe it could even be Brock Lesnar at this point. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't see that one personally happening. But let's go into the chat, and we've got another update just before I do. We've got another match added to Extreme Rules as well. We've got a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match that's been added to the card as well. We've got the Brawling Brutes taking on Imperium in a six-man tag team match. Look, to be fair, the Donnybrook match went down really, really well the week before SummerSlam. It was Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. It was a very good match on SmackDown. It was almost like a pub feel around the ringside, kind of that street fight environment. My only negative towards this being at Extreme Rules is the fact that Imperium, the mat is sacred. They're kind of all about this, doing professional wrestling the right way. So that's kind of my only minor gripe, if there was to be one. I would like to see maybe just a little bit of something of a counter argument on SmackDown this upcoming week. After all, we've got Gunther versus Sheamus on the season premiere of SmackDown for the Intercontinental Championship, a rematch from Clash at the Castle. And who can be surprised that we're going to get that match on American soil? It was an absolute barn burner in Cardiff, Wales. I'm not surprised they're going to do this once again. But of course, I'd like to see Gunther say, if we win the match, the Donnybrook match is off, and it's a sacred six-man tag team match. And if Sheamus wins, then it stays the Donnybrook match. And of course, he also becomes the Intercontinental Champion. The big question is, will Sheamus win the championship this Friday on SmackDown? I feel that there's a chance, if you go with the booking last week on SmackDown, Imperium were the ones that look strong going into this. So it kind of feels that Sheamus maybe gets that 50-50 rub and wins here. But if it was my way, Gunther would go over. And I think that Sheamus then, that Brawling Brutes should win the Donnybrook match. Sheamus lost the last one. If it's going to be his style of match with the shillelaghs and all sorts, he should win the next one. But I will save and reserve my predictions for what I think will happen until the predictions video will be dropping at some point this week. Myself, Jonesy, and NX Steve. So without further ado, that's me babbling on for the first 5 minutes of the video. Now it's time for you to take over with your questions, your comments. Let's get involved. And first off, the White Rabbit is in house. It says, let him feed the world. I love this. We're getting more and more teasers each and every week with the White Rabbit. And it feels like, if you believe the rumor mill, that Extreme Rules could be the destination that we find out what is going to be and who is the White Rabbit. I think we've all got our predictions. You know my prediction at this point. We'll have to wait and see if it will be the case of it being Bray Wyatt. But at this point, with the amount of teasers it's been, I think it'd be a massive disappointment if it wasn't, let's be fair. C Nation Dog in the house says, hi, hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. And as well, at the same time, C Nation says, I am hyped. I'm glad you're hyped. Make sure it's Mojo Riley hyped and stay hyped, my friend. Absolutely indeed. We've got KXI in house as well. It says, what's going on, Steve? I'm doing very well, KXI. Thank you for checking out the stream as well. And C Nation just says, by the way, he's just got done with his video as well. So when that drops, go and give it a watch. C Nation, let's share the love. Let's get you some viewers to go and check out your video as well. Nubico in house as well. Thank you, Nub, for checking out the stream. And we've got Stuart Ridley in house as well, saying hi all. And we've got our first comment here regarding UFC. This will be news to me, White Rabbit, that Daniel Cormier is also good friends with Anderson Silva. For me, that doesn't mean too much at this point, but for people in the chat who are a bit UFC knowledge, they'll know exactly what that means. Unfortunately, I wish I knew more about UFC. I probably should put more dedication to it. Like I say, with it's a household name, I probably got more idea what's going on. I used to check out Ronda Rousey matches, Conor McGregor matches. Of course, I saw CM Punk, how he fared in the octagon, but you know, had to be seen, didn't he? He had to go and check that out, but we'll have to wait and see how it would go. Okay, so says, I personally have no idea who the guy is, but it's a good idea to have someone who has a fighting background to be the referee. And that's exactly how I feel. Look, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest UFC follower here, but what I'd say is that's a household name. It's someone that a lot of casual people that would maybe tune the occasional fight would have heard of. And the thing is as well, like you said, it'd be your first time experiencing him in WWE, and we'll get to probably see him be physical in some point. He'll make sure that things are called the way they should be in the fight pit. If someone gets out of line, he's the kind of guy that I'm sure that would make sure it goes straight down the middle. And if someone oversteps the boundary too much, maybe it might be the reason that they don't make it out of the fight pit. We'll have to wait and see. Daniel Cormier versus Jake Paul in the future, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Jake Paul certainly, though, will be doing a fight of his own in the near future. I think at Madison Square Garden. I think it's around the week before or after Logan Paul's one at Crown Jewel. Yeah, they're making moves, aren't they? Let's be fair. White Rabbit says, is Baron Corbin the bad wolf? Great question. Of course, we saw them with the latest Bray Wyatt video. This image, which I've obviously not got with me, but it was like this lone wolf kind of character. We've seen, was it Corbin Kentucky in one of these recent videos as well? So if Corbin is going to be a part of this, maybe as the White Rabbit or as a part of the group, that would be quite interesting to see. I'm totally down with Corbin bringing back the bad wolf or the lone wolf character, or maybe just it would be a bad wolf. He wouldn't be a lone wolf anymore if he was going to be in a faction, would he? But at the same time, what I would say is he went off with JBL recently on SmackDown. I feel like for me, that would be a major disconnect of what happened to that story. I wouldn't understand how we got Baron Corbin or Happy Corbin getting into JBL's limo and all of a sudden then being with Bray Wyatt. Is JBL a part of this and being the White Rabbit? I don't think so. So that's what for me is a disconnect of why I don't think Corbin is going to be the one. But certainly as the link and having the big bad wolf, it's an interesting image, and I'm certainly fascinated to see where it goes. C Nation says Sheamus wins the Intercontinental title on SmackDown and Imperium win at Extreme Rules. It certainly would make sense in a way, because sometimes when it's someone's particular style of wrestling match, they don't always win it. We just saw with the Donnybrook before, Sheamus lost to Drew McIntyre. So it could quite clearly go this avenue. But as I said, the only thing that makes me feel it should go the other way is because of the fact that Sheamus, for me, if he was going to win the IC title, why not in the United Kingdom? Why not in Cardiff? I know right now they've got a big babyface thing going on with Sheamus, though since then it's working well with American, Canadian audiences as well. Maybe it's the right time to pull the trigger. Maybe the fact is Sheamus, he's so over at the moment. It feels like one of the most popular people in WWE shows. Maybe it's the right time to put the IC title on him. And the counter argument you could also make is, doesn't have to be the final encounter between these two, and Gunther could win the title back later down the line. White Rabbit, and I'm not surprised you say, let's talk about the White Rabbit tease the Wolf during SmackDown. Well, as I say, we talked a little bit about it there. I mean, if it was Baron Corbin, I'm still intrigued to see, and I think it should be some form of group. I have a lot of positive things to say about the White Rabbit. I'm going to say one controversial thing, though, that some people may not like. They may not like it. I think that from someone that's a casual viewer sometimes would find this difficult to follow. I feel that the QR codes are not easy to find during shows. We have to work hard to find them, which I think can be the fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a complete party pooper here. But at the same time, what I would say is that for the amount of research that I've seen other people go into, which is why I have any some of the knowledge that I do, have called certain numbers up, have got the breakdowns of what meant to be a voice that's meant to sound like Bray Wyatt. I would not go into those details to find that stuff. Twitter has give a lot of information. If you type in for White Rabbit latest with that, it gives you a lot of information. For me, I'd say as someone who currently doesn't have the time to necessarily go in as depth as what they give us details as this week, as clever as it is, I think it works more for a hardcore fan base, a real hardcore fan base, than for a complete fan base. But overall, the White Rabbit has been a massive success. There's no argument about it. It gave SmackDown arguably its biggest rating. Was it in 2 years? Something like that. It gave a really big rating a couple of weeks ago. I don't think it followed to Monday Night Raw, sadly. I don't know what the rating will be for SmackDown this week, but one thing's for sure, it's got a lot of people talking. It is the most exciting thing in wrestling. There's no argument about that. I can't wait to find out who it's going to be. Every stream we've done recently, we've been talking about the White Rabbit. The fact we have this Wolf character here, like I say, I think personally, it leads to an idea of a stable. And I like the idea that a White Rabbit can be one, a Wolf can be another. And maybe it's something that we find out about one at one time and we find out one at another time. We don't have to be given everything straight away. So it's really exciting stuff. And I will stick with the positive side of things, even though I've just said a little bit of what I think are the minor details of what could be the negative to it. But overall, for me, roaring success. KXI says, bruh, I completely forgot about the Baron Corbin. Wasn't he last seen with JBL? Absolutely was seen with JBL last time, as the White Rabbit goes on to confirm in the comments straight afterwards. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what will happen. I think Corbin, personally, would be amazing under the JBL style gimmick in 2022. I don't know if he'd get away with as much as JBL did back in the day, but Corbin could pull that gimmick off and could pull it really well, because it did feel like that the happy part of his gimmick was starting to well, I think it was growing on people for a while, but I think it had run its course. And that's sometimes the shame with Corbin. Not with characters run their course. The one that didn't was broke-ass Corbin, bum-ass Corbin, as I'm sure McAfee was saying through the summer. But when he was, having that sort of awful hairdo, having, all the stains on his shirt, that Corbin ruled. That could have gone for a lot longer, and they could have actually had the top babyface out of him. Sinishing was saying Sheamus winning the Intercontinental Championship matters way more than him winning the Donnybrook match. I can agree with that argument. I think that certainly, there is a case for that. I mean, for me, I just prefer Gunther to keep the IC title, doing a great job of him as champion right now. But like I said, I can see it going either way. And to be honest, I still don't think I don't see it being done after SmackDown. We got it to Extreme Rules. It could carry on to Crown Jewel. I wouldn't be surprised with anything at this point. Goes on to say again about the Bad Wolf from SmackDown. I'm not sure where this tease was from this time, but certainly we're getting a lot of teases from it. Certainly looking forward to it. C Nation says, I'm more hyped for Bound for Glory than Extreme Rules. I think Bound for Glory is looking like an exceptional card. I think that for people that are not going to check it out, they should go out of the way and make effort to. Impact are doing some great work at the moment. My personal feeling is that if you don't have time to watch the weekly products, fair enough. I think that they do some great matches on that as well, by the way. This past week, I really enjoyed the tag team match, by the way, with Ace Austin and Chris Bay against Trey Miguel. And I forget who the other person was now. Was it Laredo Kid? You can let me know, Sinish, in the comments. That tag team match absolutely banged. It was brilliant. But Bound for Glory, there's some great matches on there. The predictions will be dropping on this channel, fingers crossed, in the next 24 hours. And CNation goes on to say as well that Josh Alexander will retain the Impact World Championship at Bound for Glory, because Eddie Edwards pinned Josh Alexander at Victory Road, and it won't happen again. And Joe, it's a fair point you make there, because again, it's almost like the WWE style, that 50-50 booking. He got the championship, he got the win there, not for the championship, but in the six-man tag at Victory Road. Can he do it a second time round? I've got a lot of food for thought of this, and I will save it for the predictions if you don't mind, C Nation. KXI says Corbin being doesn't make sense. Also, wasn't like originally Baron Corbin going to be in the Wyatt family. I don't know if he was originally going to be in the Wyatt family, but I suppose if you go back then with this lone wolf character, we had sort of Rowan with the sheep. They could have made it work if they wanted to, but at the same time, we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. White Rabbit giving his opinion. I will read it out because it's an opinion. Bound for Glory is just mid-card. It's Mia Yim last fighting in Impact Wrestling. It could be Mia Yim. I know the contract is coming up, but certainly I would say it's more than mid-card for me. And Mia Yim's match with Mickie James Percy, for me, it's what I'm really looking forward to. It might be the one I'm most looking forward to on that show. DC was pushed by Fox to WWE when SmackDown commentary when it debuted on Fox, but sides fell apart. So yeah, I was right saying that they have had communication before. And Daniel Cormier, if he had been involved with SmackDown commentary, I know he's been doing commentary for UFC. Wikipedia tells me a lot, but at the same time, what I would say is that yeah, it's good to see he's finally got some sort of relationship with WWE. And like I say, I hope it's not a one and done. I'd like to see it carry over to Crown Jewel. I think it'd just be fascinating to see because the guy's meant to be a very good amateur wrestler. I'd like to see how he could mix up in the WWE ring. I would like him with Brock Lesnar as well, but I don't see it coming. KXI says, being the bad wolf. I think I've read this one already there, KXI, so I shall move on to the next one. But I do really want to see Corbin with JBL. I would as well. I think that's my preferable choice at this point, but I won't lie. The bad wolf thing is very intriguing. And if it is Corbin, I'm willing to see it play out. I won't argue with that either. Happy Corbin is not the bad wolf because he's in a program with JBL right now, so C Nation Dog. So it seems to be all around the people agreeing with JBL, although that's been a few weeks we've not seen anything. So I'm intrigued to see when Corbin does come back. White Rabbit says, I think Corbin's finishing move, the end of days, does give me Bray Wyatt vibes. It's an awesome finisher. One of my favorite finishers in wrestling. Say what you want about Corbin, by the way. I love the end of days. I love the deep six as well. He's got a great moveset, Baron Corbin, and knows how to use it to his form of his character. A lot of people are saying that Corbin matches are boring. They work to his style. I think Corbin is massively underrated, and he is a true heel because people actually hate him. He's not a likable heel. He does his job properly. If they want to change it up and they want to bring it into this, like I said, I'm willing to see it play out. Ed Fry says, Bad Wolf makes me think about Doctor Who and that Billy Piper is going to debut at Extreme Rules. Can you imagine if Billy Piper was going to do that? I'm trying to remember one or two of her songs off the top of my head now, Ed Fry's, and I'm completely letting down my 90s pop trivia, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, I certainly, the image enough certainly is definitely worth it, that LOL alone. White Rabbit says, I believe White Rabbit is attacking Balor after he beats Edge because the QR code last Raw was flashing during Dominic walking towards the ring, but it's definitely Bray. But the Bad Wolf got teased Friday 100%. Absolutely. I still believe it's Bray Wyatt as well. I love what NXT said the other day, the idea about it being Bo Dallas, because it can always build to Bray afterwards. And I think that would be a great way to bring Bo back in. And the idea of, he's a rotunda as well. To see him actually play in a gimmick that could be something like this, supernatural. I wanted him in the Wyatt family for the longest time. So I think it would be really good to see because Bo Dallas always gave everything to his gimmicks that he did. It just wore his job with gimmicks. But like you said here, attacking Balor certainly could be an idea because it feels like Balor and Dominic are both being targets in and amongst these QR codes. Would it be working with Judgment Day, against Judgment Day? We'll have to wait and see. But you might be onto something because if he's going to come in Extreme Rules, where it feels like the men's matches would be the most likely. That's when, if you look at the match graphics, the lanterns, the rabbit, they're in with Riddle and Seth. That's where we first saw it. They're in there with Drew and Karrion Kross. This week's QR code, if I'm not mistaken, came via around Karrion Kross's time period as well, because of course he's always been linked with the White Rabbit. Let's play with the Lucha Underground vibes. And the same time as well, yeah, we've got the other match there, which now, like you said, it's Edge versus Finn Balor. We could even see it. I've not looked at the graphic with the Braun and Brutes and Imperium. I'd be interested to see if it was there as well. But Balor, Edge, could be onto something. And of course, everyone was teasing the idea as well of it being Bray Wyatt when Edge was having those video packages returning as well. So yeah, it would make sense. C Nation says Sheamus is long overdue Intercontinental title win, and Gunther can win it back in a rubber match before Survivor Series. Again, would completely not be against that. I think that certainly would be a fine option if they want to do that. It'd be a big pop, a big moment if Sheamus becomes the Grand Slam champion. We do want to see that happen at some stage. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was to happen. And like you say, Gunther can always win it back. Goes on to say as well, Gunther will be fine. Not everyone needs a 365-day title reign. I'm just tired of everyone getting one. It's fun to have things being mixed up and freshened up. And I just think at the moment with Gunther, I mean, he's only had a couple of people actually beat him in WWE. His shoulders to the mat the whole time he's been there. I believe Bron Breakker is one that's done it clean. And I think that, who was the other one that did it clean? Ilya Dragunov is the only one to do it clean. Everyone else that's done it, I think it's involved some form of shenanigans, minus the Survivor Series match, of course, that we talked about as well on a previous stream, where I believe that was Drew McIntyre that eliminated him in 3 minutes, which that's just criminal. KXI saying Sheamus winning the IC title on SmackDown. I don't know, man. That's a Mania-worthy moment right there. Do you know what? I feel like you could be right because Sheamus winning a Grand Slam championship, that does feel like it's a big-time deal. A season premiere is fine, but that also goes to say that it was the season finale on SmackDown this past week. Did anyone feel that we got a major cliffhanger for that show to redeem the new season? I don't know. I know that the States do that because that's when all the sitcoms and stuff come back. But yeah, I've been doing a bit of research on this, why you have the season premiere at this point. But I agree, perhaps a bigger stage, it could be worthy, but season premiere, you want to start off with a bang. A title change could just be the one. WrestleMania UK in the house. Hope you're doing well, Max. Thank you for checking out the stream. He says, regarding Sheamus, all they're doing is repeating a 5-star match on USL. I wouldn't be mad if Sheamus won. I just don't think he's winning at all. And do you know what? I think at the moment, I'm leaning to where you feel as well. I think that Gunther winning here then gives the idea that the Braun and Brutes could win when it comes to the Saturday show. The following night, the Donnybrook match, as I said, even though CNation said he doesn't need to win his own style of match, I agree, but maybe you should win it once, because otherwise if you do it so many times and you don't win it, then it comes a little bit like, well, why do we keep doing another Donnybrook match? Maybe you should do something else, maybe you should do, I don't know, we've got Donnybrook, haven't we? I'm trying to think of something else that would rhyme with Dublin, a Dublin Donnybrook, who knows? But yeah, I agree with you. I think that you're bang on the money with your comment anyway. And at the moment, I think Sheamus will be losing to Gunther. Extreme Rules will go the other way. Sin Nation says, I'm really liking the relationship with Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa is the only member of the Bloodline who really likes Sami Zayn. In Honor No More with PCO, which that comment currently isn't coming up on the screen, but I will work that out very, very short. There it is. It's come there eventually for you. Yeah, I totally agree. I love the way that they are playing out on both companies, by the way. PCO may be involved with my predictions, by the way, for Bound for Glory. So I guess Honor No More, I will say no more this month, but I totally agree with you. I love the way their relationship is balancing out. But with Sami and Solo, I love the way they're doing it each and every week. Solo goes, Sammy's the one. He's good. He's earned his way. Honorary Uso. Jimmy Uso seems to be fine with him as well there. But Jey Uso, the facials each and every week just get better and better. We're really growing this feud up very nicely, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it will eventually play out here. But Sammy, the more this happens, it's more that Sammy needs to be the one for me to dethrone Roman. I know it's probably not going to be the one. The tag titles is where that destination will end, but man, Sammy's massively over right now, and that can't be ignored. Nation says Rich Swann and Heath teamed up on Impact Wrestling, so there could be a new tag team. They certainly could be, but they are also going to be in the the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. They're going to be involved in, but who knows? Maybe that could be the place and the way that we get Rich Swann to finally win those tag team titles. I know you've wanted that for the longest time. Also, Sinistro says it would look bad if Gunther beat Sheamus twice in the single matches. Not necessarily, in my opinion. Just makes him look strong. WrestleMania says, I've never been more hyped for Extreme Rules. I don't think anybody has, to be fair. This is the most hyped for an Extreme Rules it's been since we've had a one-night stand, I feel, at this point. And I'm not talking about the good kind of one-night stand. I'm talking about the ECW reunions back in 2005, 2006. And I think they carried it on for another couple of years under the WWE banner. But yeah, every match, an Extreme Rules former match. We've got a great variation throughout the show. We've got a ladder match. We've got a strap match. We've got the Donnybrook. We've got the normal Extreme Rules match as well. It's brilliant. I Quit, Fight Pit, style of cage match. It's great variety all around. Like I say, if we can get a tag team match, that would really complete the show for me. I'd be really happy from that point. Whether it's the Usos, whether it's Damage Control, where we've got EO and Dakota Kai against Oscar and Alexa Bliss on the pre-show, the kickoff, something like that. That's all that's missing for me, and I think then we've got a complete show at that point. Yeah, I'm really hyped. I'm looking forward to it. The predictions are going to be very exciting when we do them later this week. Mex, are you doing predictions on your channel? Let us know. We'll give that a plug and let our viewers know when that will be. Sination says Impact Wrestling is the best wrestling company in my opinion. They need to know. They know how to book new talent and old talent, and they do very well with their variation of their booking. I particularly like the way that they've been booking a number of stars this year. Josh Alexander, of course, being the champion. Eddie Edwards with the Honor No More has been one of my favorite stables throughout this calendar year. I think they're hugely underrated. I'm not going to say any more about them, what I want to say at this particular moment. But what I will say is that we look at Masha Slamovich, that she's booked really, really well. All I would say is there's a couple with every promotion that don't get the shine that they should. And for me, right now, Chris Bay is criminally underrated, criminally underused. Yes, he's a part of Bullet Club, but he's almost part of the B squad of Bullet Club. And it feels like Ace Austin's falling into that category as well. I can't wait to see them go for tag team gold. They need to get on with that sooner rather than later. We've got Nuben Co saying, do you think Alexa Bliss might also be part of the whole White Rabbit? Great question, this one. I'm going to say no. I think that Alexa could be a target for the White Rabbit. Obviously, the lights went out during her match for a flicker. It happened this week on SmackDown as well. I want to say that was during the opener with the Bloodline, with Sammy and Solo in their tag match with Ricochet and Madcap Moss. To me, at the moment, feels like that would be a target. So if it's Bray Wyatt, which we all link it to at this particular moment, to go for the Bloodline would make sense because, of course, Bray, he lost his championship, of course, and Roman Reigns was a big factor in that. That was probably the start of his, historic reign that he's had right now. And when you look at Alexa Bliss, obviously, yeah, the career kind of went a bit of a down path when Alexa was there by his side. So I think they could be targets rather than actually being Alexa being involved with. But I think the Alexa Bliss or Lexi herself probably would be down for this. But I'm not sure if WWE will go in that direction or not. Silas, I do think Impact Wrestling should give Honor No More all the titles yet. It's too soon. It took 2 years for the Undisputed Era to do it in NXT. Sometimes it's good to build that story for a long, long time. But I feel with Honor No More, and this is what I will say right now, I think Eddie Edwards, they need to have that takeover if they're going to do it. But like I say, I still reserve that judgment for another 24 hours of what I'm going to say on that. It says it could be Mickie James or Mia Yim's last match in Impact Wrestling. It could even be both at this point because, of course, Mia Yim's contract is coming up. And Mickie James, if she loses, that's it. It doesn't get any bigger for her than Balfagor at the moment when it's Impact Wrestling involved. Matt Cardona will enter Brian Myers' Digital Media Championship Open Challenge. I love that suggestion. Could you imagine them going against each other again? We'll be down for that. We're going to just move on to a couple of other comments. I'll come back to the other two in a minute because I'm going to get one from Noob and Co here. What are your thoughts on the booking of Max the Impaler as of late? The momentum has been a nosedive since NWA 74, even with the match with Jordan Grace at Victory Road somewhat shot out. Now, I'll be honest, I've not watched NWA for quite a while. I've not even seen NWA 74, but I did get to watch her for what for me was a rare occasion on the Victory Road show. I thought the performance was good. I actually think that there's something there with that character. It certainly would work quite well with Impact Wrestling, with like the Decay sort of storylines they've got on with Rosemary, with Jessica. If Su Yung ever returns back to the ring, so they've got a lot they can work with that. But with NWA, unfortunately, I couldn't comment. But I am a big fan, obviously, with James Mitchell as well in the corner. He's always the sinister minister, as he was back in the day. He always done some fabulous work. So yeah, I can't give too much. But if she's been losing a lot of matches, then obviously, hopefully, they'll find a way to get some momentum back for her. But I can't comment on NWA, sadly. Sination says, Solo Sikoa reminds me of the one kid at school who treats everyone the same in the group, even the nerd who is Sami Zayn. And you got to love those people, haven't you? Solo Sikoa, he had new music as well this week, didn't he? Absolute banger. I actually really enjoyed the new music. I can't lie to you. And also, one information, I saw a video where Rhea Ripley said, Dom gets what he wants. If he wants mummy, it's mummy. If he wants puppy, it's puppy. Well, I think not much more needs to be said there. I think we all can understand where that's going. We've got Bama David House. Bama, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for checking out the stream. KXI says what's going on to you as well. So it's nice to see you've got a bit of love going in the chat with everybody here today. Sination goes on to say, Clash of the Castle seemed like the perfect place for Sheamus to get his Grand Slam Championship win, but they messed that up, so now they have to do it now, or it's too late. I wouldn't say messed up at the time. Like I said, it was a 5-star match for me. It was an absolute banger of a match between those two. For me, it was the right call at the time because of the fact Sheamus got that big, big sort of celebration afterwards with everybody. Everyone was sort of like clapping him afterwards. It almost like was the final moment of this guy's going to be a babyface going forward. But as I say, it doesn't have to be now, but if it is, I'm down for it. Either way, I'm not going to complain. But Bamadan says, I hope Sheamus finally catches the elusive IC title on Friday. See, I think a lot of people will be on Sheamus's side. He's definitely got the babyface vibe going on. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the right move to pull the trigger this Friday on SmackDown. And we have a six-man tag at Extreme Rules, right? Yes, Bama Dave, we have got a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match coming back. That's right, with Imperium and the Brawling Brutes. So expect the good old-fashioned bar stools at ringside, the pub glasses as well, probably tables and all sorts. Shillelaghs kind of be kicking in. It's certainly not going to be so good for Imperium, but it's probably going to leave a few bruises, and I'm quite looking forward to it. Sination says Rich Swann wins the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match at Bound for Glory, and then he wins the Impact Tag Team titles with Willie Mack later the night. Would make my year. Absolutely think that it would make your year. And he says that Honor No More can wait for a proper title reign. Rich Swann and Willie Mack have waited for too long. Too long to the point that Willie Mack, if I'm not mistaken, has been an MLW for quite a while now. But if he did come back again, C Nation, I'll be cheering along for you. KXO says, I don't agree, C Nation. Gunther's reign was just starting to get going near Clash of the Castle. It was smart for him to retain. I personally agree with that. The thing is with long reigns, and I think this is where I feel C Nation, correct me if I'm wrong, he wants to see quicker title changes necessarily. A lot of these times with the long championship reigns gets a bit repetitive and gets a bit boring. Now, I can understand that when it's every title reign. But I feel that, yes, with Roman, with the Bloodline, we've got that going on right now. But Gunther is establishing and building that Intercontinental Championship to the strongest it's been for quite a while. If Sheamus was to win it, then I do feel at the same time he could carry that on, because Sheamus is doing amazing work right now. My only worry is once Sheamus comes out of the Brawling Brutes and the Imperium feud, where does it go after? You could say the same with Imperium at this point, but I just feel that if they do want to do Bobby Lashley versus Gunther at Survivor Series, holding on hope still. Gunther can't lose that title just yet for me. But I at the moment feel that if I had to predict, I would say that if it's not Sheamus, I think it'll be Bron Breakker that will take that title from Gunther if and when they eventually do it. But it could be Sheamus this Friday. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I'm kind of on the fence, really. I've kind of predicted both doing this string. I'm going backwards and forwards. KXI says, and yes, we have to do a six-man tag, which we have got then at the Extreme Rules. Bangladesh says, I wouldn't do more than 6 to 7 matches. Neither would I. Like I say, one more, that'd be the max that I personally would do. Sinister says, Gunther can have can regain the IC title at Crown Jewel. Certainly, to take another loss, and I think would hurt Sheamus, but like I say, you can get the win the next day. That's certainly the way that you can get around it with the Donnybrook match. Bama Dave says, oh, and yeah, LA Knight is on his way back. And who should his first solo story on the main roster be with? I think him and a returning JBL like Corbin would be great. I think that's an amazing shout, Bama. I'm not going to lie to you. I love the idea of that being the first feud. The only thing for me is that I want LA Knight to win the first feud. I think if Corbin comes back JBL-like, I want to see Corbin elevated towards that main event picture. I know that I'm probably upsetting a lot of people by saying that, but I just think that Corbin could really make that great. For me right now, I would say LA Knight, he's broke away from Maximum Male Models, hopefully. Maybe versus Gunther could be well, but again, I think Gunther would win it, so I think that could be an issue. I'm trying to think into SmackDown's mid-card on the heel side right now. What would be the best move for them? Maybe you could just squash away the Maximum Male Models and then move on to something more prominent. But yeah, it does feel like at this point, maybe Corbin might be the best shout. C Nation says, Dominic Mysterio only joined Judgment Day to get closer to Rhea Ripley. You're probably right there. C Nation also goes on to say Imperium also got to beat down Sheamus last week on SmackDown, so Sheamus should get his revenge. It's usually the WWE way. So that's all I'll leave there with that one. Tyler Breeze should take Max Dupree's spot, and that could be a good singles feud right there. That I really think is a really good shout. I think that'd be awesome. Tyler Breeze against LA Knight. Book that for me. Bama, what do you reckon? Let me know in the comments below. I would be quite down for that idea. We've also got Gunther here. Doesn't need the Iconic title. He's over with Imperium. Well, I disagree. I think him having the IC title has done great for that title. I think the title needs him as much, if not more, than Gunther needs it. But I think Gunther is doing fine with it as well. Sheamus could go over Roman after Sheamus is a top babyface and later on have them beat Gunther. And do you know what? I think Sheamus versus Roman would be an awesome feud to do as well. That would be would not be against that idea at all. Would be fine with that. We've got Maximum Models are jobbers. I would agree at this point they have slid into jobber territory. I wonder though if they're going to be used for the upcoming Crown Jewel show, because obviously Mansoor used to perform on a number of those shows. We'll have to wait and see if he'll be involved this year. Bangladesh says, thinking now, I'd have Butch or Ridge be an issue on why Sheamus doesn't win. Then they lose Extreme Rules. Because of that, maybe Imperium game a fourth member in Ridge or Dunn. False. Wouldn't necessarily be against it. I just feel, I think if anyone, it'd be Ridge. I think would be the one to do it, because I think Dunn is massively over as the babyface as well. What I would say is, for me personally, I would prefer the Brutes to stay together. I think that they've got something good going on right now, so I would keep things as they are. And obviously, the tag team division needs a bit more depth as well, so I'd keep Ridge and Dunn together. Obviously, with Imperium, we've already got the tag team as well with Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, which of course came close to saying those old names. And we've got Gunter. It's had one long reign already. Does he really need another one? Well, Walter had a long reign. I think that's the difference. Walter had in NXT UK, and of course, the percentage of the wrestling audience that watch NXT UK, unfortunately, as KXI says here, is not many, unfortunately. So this is why I think that he does need one, because it does help him on SmackDown get established with people that are watching, with the 2 million plus viewers that are watching SmackDown every week. So that's why that'll be my personal opinion. And just to go off on the top then, what I kicked off with this video with then, just to quickly go into that one more time. And if you've got any more questions, throw them in while you still can. If not, I'll close things off early tonight. What I will say is that we've got, of course, Daniel Cormier is the breaking news. He's going to be the special guest referee in the Fight Pit. Looking forward to seeing how he's going to be in there with Matt Riddle and Seth Frickin' Rollins. Of course, like I said, got plenty of UFC experience, easy for me to say. And of course, yeah, if someone gets out of line, then maybe we'll see some physicality. That's what I want. I love Sination says, don't leave, get more questions. Well, that's up to you guys in the chat. If you put some questions in, I'll happily go for another 15, 20 minutes. So yeah, get your questions in while you can. But what I would say on it is that I do feel with Daniel Cormier, Matt Riddle, former, sort of MMA style fighter as well, it will fix very, very well for him. I think that this is now leaning towards a Riddle victory at this particular moment. But Raw this week will tell us more of the story. It'll be interesting to see if Cormier actually even shows up on Monday Night Raw this week. I love KXI. How was your day? It's been a good day. I won't lie. It's been a very good day. I've had a day with family today. And I think that time with family is always a lot of fun. It's beautiful to do. And I hope that everyone else has enjoyed their days as well. Had a lovely dinner as well. And now I'm sharing some time with you fine folk as well here, talking professional wrestling. And it's been an exciting time in pro wrestling. So much going on. Not been much discussion on AEW in the comments. And, obviously AEW's had a bit of a difficult week. Obviously, a lot of their show, I think, had to be changed around, obviously, with the Hurricane Ian, which of course my thoughts go out to everybody. If anyone's affected or knows anyone affected that's been going through that, absolutely awful to see that. Obviously, it's affected a few people from SmackDown this week. We mentioned Pete Dunne and Rich Holland were both in Florida as well, which was why they couldn't make the show in Winnipeg. But as I say, thoughts go out to everybody. Hope everybody is well. Okay, so thank you very much, but I hope you've had a good day as well. Anyone can share their day in the comments as well. Happy to talk about it. Thank you, Bama, as well. And I hope you and your family are well also. And we will say, actually, Bama, if you don't mind, I'll break it here. In the next couple of weeks, Bama Dave is coming on the stream here. We will be doing a show together a number of times previously. He's had me on for some Bama chatter, and I'm very much looking forward to having some Bama chatter here on SCW, talking all things professional wrestling. Looking forward to it. Sinesh, I'm going to say I'm more hyped for the Bound for Glory Go Home show of the SmackDown for Extreme Rules. Season premieres as well. But I mean, to be fair, Sinesh, you're a big Impact fan, but I said they've got a couple of good matches lined up for next week. I'm trying to remember a couple of them on the top of my head, but Matt Taven, I believe, against Alex Shelley should be a really good match. Also looking forward to Miriam against Giselle Shaw. Giselle Shaw had a great show against Mickey James at the Victory Road show. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Bambo says, I think Tyler Breeze would be great in any of the options. Issue is any returns, no matter how hated they're going to be faces, because we'll be happy to see them face LA Knight versus Breeze. Might need to wait. And you know, it's a very good point. You make a very good point there. A lot of the time when people return, we do sort of sit there and think to ourselves, we're going to cheer these people. We've missed them. It's good to have them back. So I totally get where you are with that. But yeah, it'd be a match I still would be down for seeing at some point. Let's be fair. We need to build LA Knight up. But LA Knight against Roman, can you imagine the promo packages with those two? I think it'd be awesome. Tino's time in the house. Great to see you, Tino. Good to see that you are online, my friend. How has the NFL been going for you today? I know you've been doing a live stream on that. Hope your team has been doing well. And anyone that's following a bit of NFL, educate me. What do I need to know? Sination says, can't believe CM Punk has had 2 bad AEW World title reigns. Injured after both. I mean, technically, you could say a bit unlucky, but obviously the media scrum has made things a bit awkward, even if he hadn't got injured. It looks like that no one's coming back anywhere in the near future with regards to that. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, it's not looking good, is it? KXI, do you think Paige will make a change to the AEW women's division? I think that yes, in a way. I don't think they went necessarily about it the right way though. This past week on AEW Dynamite, I think the idea was let's get everybody out here, let's showcase everybody. But I felt like it made Saraya look like the big deal, and everyone else behind her looked like a bunch of jobbers. Even the champion, Tony Storm, the interim champion, which I didn't think was a good look. And Britt Baker almost, it felt like she saved the segment a little bit when it came to them two there. I will say that I do think that she'll make a difference. I'm a big fan of Saraya, by the way, so I'm not going to give too much heat on it. She's been off TV for a long time. We all have to sort of get ourselves back into the groove a little bit. And I just think the booking, a little bit of booking the lumberjack match, wasn't the strongest bit for me, but I'm glad that the women got more time in the ring. That was emphasized as well, more women on TV. If that's something that you want to look at it as baby steps to make a positive step to the women's division, absolutely. The biggest change you can make to the women's division is if she's healthy enough to wrestle. But until we know that for sure, we can't speculate if or it will happen at any time. But hopefully for her, if she's healthy enough, she could make an appearance in the ring one day. The Bloodline do not to be double champions, so pointless. Sorry, C Nation. We said this for a number of streams now, but I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. C Nation says, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a big fan of Impact Wrestling, but I'm still a fan of WWE. I'm a big fan of both. I like the fact we've seen that. Tina says, it's stressful. My team sucks. I'm so sorry, my man. Look, to be fair, when it comes to sports, we can't win every week. And I must admit, my team doesn't win every week in sports. See right now, actually, West Ham United. So my Premier League team there for you. I'm wearing tonight. We did win this weekend, but we haven't had a great start to our Premier League season. So yeah, I understand it can be a very stressful time supporting your team. Bamado says, I'm looking forward to that as well. I hope the chat shows up and hits us up some chat-up-worthy questions as well. I'm sure chat here never seems to let us down. I'm always appreciative of everybody that comes in and always shows the support. So I really do appreciate it. And Bama, I think we'll have a great show when it comes to it, which we're looking to do, I believe, was a Monday, the 16th of October. That's right. Tino's Time is streaming right now. I'm sure he will be if NFL is on. Anyone, yeah, please go and give him some support over there. Drop him a like as well. I love the fact as well that you're actually giving me some love watching on your phone. Top man, Tino. I do appreciate that's dedication if there ever was. Streaming on his own whilst listening to me on another. Can your listeners hear me as well at the same time? Poor listeners if they're for NFL. Get Show is in the house as well. Fantastic podcast. Thank you very much for checking out. Hope you are all doing well as well. We've got C Nation here as well. Make sure I catch up with the chat very well here. Says one term that's overused in wrestling is it's too soon for a wrestler to lose a title. You could say that. Perhaps it is. But it depends on the wrestler whether I agree with you or not. Bamada says, personally, I think Seth needs to win in the fight pit. Roman needs a worthy challenger lined up, and this loss and his world will push Riddle into a tailspin towards an eventual heel turn against Randy. Loving that idea. Riddle being the one to turn on Randy rather than the other way around. Fascinating idea. I like that actually as a proposition. The only thing I would say is that I do think that this could lead to a third match at Crown Jewel, and I think that's where Seth could win the rubber match. Here for me, at the moment, like I say, Raw storylines, I feel that Riddle needs the win more. But like I say, just because that's what I think doesn't mean that's what I predict. C Nation says, who knows, Josh Alexander could also be a Grand Slam champion in Impact Wrestling. He just needs the Digital Media Championship. Well, there you go. But that makes him a Triple Crown champion at this point. And who knows, maybe he might answer Brian Myers' challenge. But I don't think he will if he's in the main event. How do you feel about Rouge signing with AEW and possibly Andrade leaving? Thank you, by the way, first off, Jason, for checking out the stream. Hope you are doing well. I think it's great for Rouge signing permanently with AEW, being all elite. I think he's had some great performances in the company so far. Of course, he was in the final two of the Battle Royal that we had very recently. But I can't forget the tagging name there for Grand Slam. But also, he's also faced John Moxley as well in the championship match. So Rouge has done pretty well. I think it's really funny with Andrade, with the tease of him leaving AEW if he loses to number 10. I don't see that happening personally. Although, will we see a Jeff Jarrett Hulk Hogan scenario from Bash of the Beach 2000 where he just lays down for him to get the pinfall so Andrade can head back to WWE? Don't see it personally. But yeah, I mean, for storyline purposes, it's certainly a bit of fun. I think it could even be TK actually poking a bit of fun as well in the situation, but I could be wrong with that. Bloodline and so push. They're taking opportunities away from other wrestlers. They also could be giving them to other wrestlers because eventually, when they do lose those titles, those wrestlers are going to need to be ready to be at that level, and it will be the biggest deal in wrestling for a very, very long time. They'll be main event overnight. Sensation also says Extreme Rules has a lot of extreme matches, which is good. It's very nice to see. Very, very nice to see. So, I mean, hopefully that is the continuation going forward. Sinesh says, got to go. Have a good stream. I hope you do well, Kate. So thank you for checking out the stream. But I am out of questions. So I think I'm going to kind of wrap things up there if you don't mind. But I thank everybody who has been watching the stream. Please hit the like button. Do share with a friend as well. Make sure to subscribe to SCW. Coming up this week, then, I think the most important videos to plug at this particular moment. I'm going to be doing a video for Battle for Glory. I'm going to give my predictions. Of course, that show is next Friday. And of course, as well, Extreme Rules. Those predictions will be in the week as well. I can't give you an official date for that particular moment at this second because myself, Jonesy, and then Steve, we need to find a time where we can all fit in and work together. But before I go, more questions have come flying in because the chat never lets me down. Who's better, Disco Inferno or Fandango? Disco Inferno for me. I've got to say, I must admit, I mainly just purely for the theme song alone, the Disco Fever, and Disco knew his role so well. But hey, the fashion files as well from Fandango. But Fandango there for me needed Tyler Breeze. So that's why I'm going to go for Disco as my pick. Feels like this or that Bama Dave as well, by the way. I don't know if you agree with that. Jeff Simmons says, how do you feel about the potential feud with Gunter and LA Knight? I think it'll be a great feud if they do it. I think LA Knight is a fabulous talker. I think he'd make the feud work. At the moment, I still would predict Gunter to retain if they did that, which is why I'd like that to be built in and around towards perhaps even WrestleMania time would be a great place to do that feud. And Bamaday says Charlotte and Andrade being married now. I wonder if Triple H has reached out to them, return the SmackDown together so they can travel together going forward. Certainly, I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if an approach had been made. Obviously, we have to go allegedly when I talk about that sort of stuff because I wouldn't want to talk about contract tampering. But what I would say is that it wouldn't surprise me if it had been done, and it'd be interesting to see what Andrade would do when his contract is up. But he's been in AEW now for what, a year and a half nearly. I imagine he's one of those that's probably signed a long-term deal. Bama says Disco for sure, lol. But I definitely would go Disco as well. So it's good to see we agree with that as well for this or that there. Jeff Samuel says, do you think Tyler Breeze is going to take over the role of Dupree and feud with LA Knight? If I'm being honest, no, I don't think it will happen. But do I want it to happen? Yes. I want it to happen. Again, show best ring gear, HBK or Macho Man? Oh, damn, you put me in a hard position here for this one. HBK is my favorite of all time, so I'm going to be a bit biased. I'm going to go with HBK, but it's hard to go against Macho Man as well. That's a very hard question, Getcho. I'm not going to lie to you. The bias has got me out of it, I think, hopefully. Martin Carrillo, thank you for checking out the stream. Says, been a while, but I would like to ask what your feelings are if things like the White Rabbit don't go the way fans want. Wow, great question, because we talked about at this point the idea of earlier in the stream of it not being Bray Wyatt. And of course, at this point, if it's anything but, I do think a lot of people are going to be very disappointed. I would hope that people would give this a chance, whatever it's going to be, because just because if it's not Bray Wyatt doesn't mean it can't be somebody else and it can't be something magic. But the modern day wrestling fan, in my opinion, a modern day person, we're used to this. Let's just break it down a little bit. Social media. We have a video going on right now, a live show, which I think a lot of people are stuck around for. Thank you for those who do. But some would tune in, tune out because of the fact maybe that's how things are in the modern world. We've got like TikTok and stuff like that. People use watching videos that are like 15 seconds or a minute max. You see it on Instagram as well. The world is very different. Shorts became very popular on YouTube as well. We've been talking about this. The viewership has dropped. It just goes to show that's what can happen. And, you know, for me, I look and say that people may not get what they want, but I hope that they'll be patient with what the outcome is. But at this moment, it feels like a lot of the direction has been pointing towards a Bray Wyatt. So I think WWE needs to deliver, in my opinion. It's good to see numbers bounce back up as well, Martin, by the way, so don't worry about that. Bama says, HBK is always the right choice. Hashtag GOAT. Have to agree with that. And Jason Michael says, one last question. Best entrance, Undertaker or Triple H? I love that's a great question. For me, I will say that, I mean, being a favorite Triple H would be one because I do love the wave that he comes to the ring, but Undertaker's is so iconic, a gimmick that should have never worked. So I will say the Undertaker's is the best entrance, if we're being honest. The gimmick that's gone for well over 30 years. Martin Cormier says, could there be any other tag team outside of AEW that can help WWE's tag team division? The Motor City Machine Guns from Impact, I know that they had a brief showing in AEW, and it would not be the way that I would have portrayed them. They were a great babyface tag team. So for me personally, I think that they would do great stuff in WWE if they were ever given the opportunity. I actually think as well that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven as well would be great together also, but in WWE, but I don't, again, don't think they'll get the other chance. But those would be a couple of teams I'll give a shout to, but I'm sure there are plenty that people may be screaming at this screen right now that I've probably not even thought of. Thank you for checking out the stream. Hope you're doing very, very well. Says, man, they're going to make War Games crazy. They've got a lot of things that they can do both ways. Who's going to face the Bloodline and Damage Control, which is cool, but it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think those are going to be the two. Like you say, who's going to be facing them will be what's going to be interesting. Damage Control will probably need another member or two to join them. So I think it's going to be simply baby faces versus heels. It feels at this point as well. Damage Control are on both are on SmackDown. So I reckon a merged team we could get revolving around that women's division. So if I had to guess right now, I'd go Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka. Would probably go along the lines with Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi. Maybe Aaliyah could turn back and be the heel, maybe to join up there, and maybe someone else could just round things off there to help Damage Control out. Maybe I know people said before they'd love to see Rhea Ripley in the War Games match. So I mean, that would be a fun one if it ever did happen. As for the Bloodline, I think everyone will be there. Again, I keep meaning to do this video, I've just never had time to record it. But what I will say is, I think Sammy will be the one that'll let the Bloodline down in the War Games if they do the 5-on-5. Could be the start of the breakup as well. Martin Green says, is there any talent WWE has signed recently that hasn't debuted yet that you have your eyes on? A great question, this one. Really good question. I would say that the Rock's daughter would be someone I'm interested to see how she would perform in the ring. Does she have the same charisma as her father? How would that play out? We haven't seen her come onto NXT, so that'd probably be my shout at this particular moment. But for me, I would say that I don't have any other ones that at the moment I can think of off the top of my head. Also, how would you rate 110 John Cena's mic skills and his in-ring skills separately? For me, I would say that on mic, I would actually have to agree with. I don't know if I agree with best on the stick of all time, but certainly I think that Cena is one of. So I'm going to go with Cena being a 10 on there because he took so much hate and he used to just brush it off like nothing else. Cena was one of a kind on the stick. In ring, Cena is criminally underrated, but got a lot of hate as well at the same time. He isn't as good as he is on the stick, but I'm going to go for Cena a solid 7.5, maybe even an 8. John Cena could tell a good story in the ring, certainly with the right opponent. So that's what I would go with. Get to Los Boricuas or Los Lotharios. I'm loving this. Could I say Boricuas? No, of course it's Lotharios. It's definitely Lotharios all day long. There's just no other answer to that. Two incredibly great talents. Angel Garza for me is criminally underused right now in WWE, and I think even Carrillo is a great talent as well. I'd like to see used more. This is his last question. With the draft postponed, when would you bring up Braun, Toxic, and Cameron Grimes? I would bring up Toxic Attraction first. I would bring them up before the end of the calendar year. I'd wait till Mandy Rose has lost the Women's Championship in NXT, and then I'd go for the immediate call-up. I think it would be a bigger loss to NXT, but I think that certainly they would benefit on a Raw or SmackDown right now, even though it's a stacked women's division already. Could be a helping hand, by the way, for Damage Control. Just an idea could put out there. Maybe if it could be Gigi and JC before Mandy gets called up, because then that way, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could do that feud, but I think two heel teams, I'd keep them on separate brands for now. But for Cameron Grimes and Bron Breakker, I'd do it after WrestleMania. Even though Grimes, I think, could be of use now. Could even be used in the White Rabbit storyline, to be fair. I know Underground Temple talked about him before being someone that'd be great for the White Rabbit role. For me, I'd have it in the stable role rather than the White Rabbit role. But that's just my personal opinion. But Bron Breakker, definitely after WrestleMania at this point. I'd love to have seen him at WrestleMania, but I think that it will be when the draft is actually done. Jackson Rick says, sup, hope you're doing well. Is there a male wrestler outside of AEW that you want to see in Impact Wrestling? I think Myers can face Cardona as he returns, or someone like Jake Christ. Chris did do a one-off appearance back in Impact Wrestling, so that's not a bad shout, you know. It's one of the things I will say when it comes to the predictions for Impact Wrestling that I've not quite decided on, but you're not the first to say Matt Cardona this evening, and I think that will be a really fun shout. But what happens to these Impact players? What happens to them? Do they break up? We've had that story already before, so it'd be interesting to see what would happen with it. Jackson Rick as well says Brock versus Daniel Cormier in the fight pit. Don't tease me. I would love to see that happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see just involved in WWE in general. I think it'd just be fun to see as an attraction match. Bamado says he'd give John Cena a 7. I think that's fair. I think it's a fair sort of comment. I went 7.5, didn't I? Bamado says we need this or that show of us and Get Show. I think so. I think that's, as Get Show says, that would be fire. I think that would be awesome to do. Maybe, Bambi, we can get one of those together. We definitely should do that on one of your ones in the near future. And certainly, I do agree you think that'd be fun. I'm going to call this up, by the way, because Bama does have his Bama chatter in his space in his tweets. So make sure to follow up Bama Dave on Twitter. Bama, drop in that handle for us one more time, please. And then we can get everyone to go and follow you on Twitter to make sure not to miss those spaces, because to say they are a lot of fun. And I've been a privilege to be on one or two of them as well. Underground, you're in at the death, my friend. Literally going to be on the stream for a couple more minutes. So thank you for joining the stream, getting a question while you can, and hope you had a fantastic vacation. So you posted a couple of pictures on social media. Hope you had an awesome time, my friend. Richard Robes as well says Triple H segment should be about this crown jewel prediction for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, and it will be unknown. Certainly could be anything they could do with that. Triple H definitely had his say when he had to the press conference of what he thought with Logan Paul. It goes about saying with the Bloodline as well. So yeah, I mean, Triple H would definitely interesting to know his thoughts about that. Jackson Rick, then unless anyone gets any questions in now for a couple of minutes, then this will be the last question. Jackson Rick says, who are some AEW wrestlers you think needs repackaging, like character change or switch it up? There's a few I can probably think of very quickly. It's going to be harsh, this, but I think some members of the Dark Order, they're just not really being used anymore. I just feel maybe they should go and do their own separate thing. I don't know. I think that may be a controversial take for a lot of people, but I think Parker Pordreau as well. I mean, what is the stable with Davari? I know. Not a fan of that stable at all. That's just a group that's just being thrown together. Makes no sense at all. I know if West Coast Popcast saw this and saw me giving some diss to Slim J, they would not be a fan of that. But yeah, what even is a Slim J at this point? Yeah, I mean that would be my take on it. I think there are a number of superstars that don't necessarily need gimmick changes though, but probably need to be booked better, and that probably is a completely different question on its own. We could say Andrade being one of them, Malachi Black, the House of Black being quite a few of them. But yeah, it looks like we're out of questions, so I'm going to call it there. But thanks everyone that's been watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to SCW. If you missed anything at the start of the video, my hot takes to begin with the Daniel Cormier, of course, going to be involved in the fight pit match. My thoughts with the Brawling Brutes against Imperium at Extreme Rules, and as well as that as well, we can even get my take on Gunther versus Sheamus. We've got Underground though with our last couple of comments coming in, and he says, is Bray Wyatt, as if you listen to the theme backwards, it says let him in and heal and hurt. It feels like this point, as I say, if it's not Bray Wyatt, like you say with these, what we're getting with the tease here, the deep research done with it, if it's not Bray Wyatt, they're going to upset a lot of people. So I think it's going to be Bray Wyatt. And Jason saying SCW. Thank you, Jason. Thank you everyone for watching. Have yourselves a good one, and I'll see you next time. Like I say, Bound for Glory dropping tomorrow. Extreme Rules predictions will be later in the week. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.